Hi, my name's Damien. I've lived in poverty most of my life. I grew up in it, my parents grew up in it, and I'd like to see an end to it. I was born in Western Australia, lived in Balga. Most of my first formative years, like going to school, Dad used to sew up the uniforms for us instead of Mum and Dad buying school uniforms. Dad actually used to make them himself, and of course, obviously, he used to get teased at school about that a fair bit, and I used to try and cover that up with saying that my dad used to make hats for the Australian Army, and I try to hide the fact that he was making our uniforms sort of thing, or gloss over it, I guess. We didn't actually realise we were poor. We just thought it was the way it was, and yeah, didn't really have much idea of planning to get out of it either. Like, I remember telling my dad that I wanted to be like them when I was older, like wanted to be humble like him, and he wasn't very happy with that sort of idea. Yeah, we lived in Holmes West House, basically car parts, all that sort of stuff. There's always alcohol in the house. It seems weird, like struggling for money, but there's like alcohol and stuff in the house. But I guess just like I found that I had to do in future in my life, like when you're down in your luck, you try to medicate. And like, we were always fed. We didn't, like I said, like we didn't never realise we were in poverty. Never realised we were poor till like we'd go to school and get teased and stuff, and you'd see the other kids with their Nikes and stuff like that. You'd have your Velcro tracks or whatever, and yeah, like we didn't even realise like eating baked beans and stuff like that most nights was poverty line. Like, just thought it was just the way everyone was. Well, as you get older and into your teens, like people, you definitely know that you're in the poverty class, like you're below peak, like your level of lifestyle is not as high, or your expectations aren't as high as what some other people's are. Like, didn't have like lunch orders. Mum and Dad would like try and send us on all the excursions and stuff like that, but like sometimes you wouldn't want to take home the note for the excursion because you know that would mean Mum and Dad to have to struggle for you to go on something that wasn't really all that necessary. It wouldn't seem necessary to you, but maybe it was necessary to your education, but like you wouldn't yourself class as necessary because that would mean that maybe your brothers and sisters aren't eating, or Mum and Dad might argue over it. And like, there's never really violence when I was growing up, but there was arguments over finances and stuff, and like my nan and pop made my mum and dad feel poor a lot of times. I remember like I couldn't even understand what the arguments were over, but like I remember like during my childhood there were arguments over me. Like they would my mum would stick up for me against my nan and pop, and I'm not sure what they were having a go at her about, but it must have been something I'd done or some costs I'd given them or something, you know what I mean? And yeah, you tend to realise like younger what money sort of means and the effect it can have on you. It doesn't mean you have any greater respect for it or anything like that either though. Like personally, I hate money. I tried to finish school. I made it to year 11 at one of the schools around the area I was growing up, but I got expelled. I was the first person in my year to get expelled from that school, just through an altercation with another student. That although I wasn't really the one in the bad spot, I got seen as the bad person. I started to experience prejudice, stigma, not so much racism, because my Aboriginality Mum hid our Aboriginality from us till we got a lot older, because back in the 80s, if we were going around telling everyone that we're Aboriginal, we probably would have been taken off her, so she didn't really let us know about that. But stigma and that, I started dealing with stigma and discrimination from the age of 7 in year 2 at the primary school I was going to, because I used to have to take dexamphetamine, so the teacher would call me drug boy. So then every morning when I'd come to school, there'd be two mentally challenged kids, and there'd be me, and us three would be standing in the middle of the quadrangle, and all these other kids would be going, "AIDS kids, drug boy, AIDS kids, drug boy," and that was my start to schooling. Basically, it was being called drug boy by a teacher and students, just because of the pill that I didn't want to take. Well, as I got older and into adulthood, left school, so I had to get a job because obviously mum and dad weren't going to pay feeding me when I got to school and that. First few jobs I did all right, but ended up losing one because I backed into a car, didn't get sent home with my pay that week, got sent home sacked. Basically about a week after that, mum and dad kicked me out. I was given a box of food for my birthday and told to go along. That was my 16th birthday. I went to Big Park Youth Accommodation. I stayed there for a few months, but didn't really know how to hold a house or anything like that, or even how to keep myself accommodated. I'd never been taught any of this sort of stuff, and eventually I left there, and from 16, still I was working but homeless. Then I fell in with the wrong crowd and just started doing crime and ended up in jail. After jail, I got out, tried to get myself back into work and stuff like that. Got myself into relationships, but we never had any counselling or stuff like that. Mum and Dad obviously couldn't afford all that sort of stuff as kids, and there'd been stuff happen that we should have had counselling for. So when you get into relationships and that, and you haven't had counselling for the stuff that's happened as a child, you end up breaking up these relationships and stuffing them up, and that's just another symptom of poverty, really, because if mum and dad had the money to do something about counselling us when those things that had happened, maybe that would have happened. I'm not who's to say, I can't look back in the past with 20/20 vision and say if they had money that would have happened, but it's nice to believe that it would have, maybe. Mum used to send me, my older sister, my younger sister, and this girl from up the street. Her parents were the ones that got mum involved with this guy. He used to take us all to the beach, and after we'd go for a swim, me and my younger sister would be outside the van, and this old man would be doing things to my older sister and this other girl in the van, and me and my younger sister were the ones that realised what was happening and made my older sister tell my mum. But that was the 80s, people didn't really think about counselling kids or giving them them having trauma or anything, stuff like that from that, so we were never given any counselling or anything like that. And
when you were a kid or as a young man, did you have a dream about what you wanted to be or what you wanted to do?
At first I wanted to be a police officer, but my dad told me not to come sniffing around his house, and then I wanted to be an astronaut, but because of my ADD and I was really good at maths, but I couldn't write anything down on paper. So basically, because I couldn't write anything on paper, I was called a cheat and put into the lower maths classes and that. And lower maths classes isn't never going to get you anywhere near being an astronaut. After my sister got hurt, I had a big respect for the police because they were the people that were going to help her. They were going to stop this guy. It seemed like the right thing to do.
Damien, poverty can often look different for different people. Can you tell us, what does poverty look like for you?
Basically, how my fridge is every week. I shop for milk, coffee, sugar, and I might get a slab of mince or a bag of meat to last me the fortnight. I don't really get veggies. I go to Victory Life and other agencies to get free veggies and stuff like that, free food. I can't afford to shop. People just would like to say it's easy not to budget, to not have these things, but everyone needs data, because if you want to get your dole, you have to look for jobs. If you're not looking for jobs, you get cut off. How do you look for jobs? You need data to look for jobs. You need data to report your jobs. Then in your spare time, I don't particularly like TV because TV's full of a lot of false news, so I don't have a TV in my house. I get my news off the internet, and you need data for the internet too, don't you? Just to deal with with my trauma and that, I like to paint. Paint costs money. Paint isn't cheap. Like, nothing out there is cheap. And there's nothing that any of the governments that we all vote for is doing to make anything cheaper for us. Not just my own experiences of poverty, but my daughter experiencing poverty. Like, we've been at the shops. The gate of the shops is the entry to the shops. The free opens and that, but as my daughter's walking through, the entry's actually slammed into her face and hit her in the nose. And I got to complain to the staff about this, and we just get treated like we're lying, or that my daughter had been playing with the door or something. But if I'd been someone in the community that wasn't on the poverty line, wasn't considered a poor person by everyone else, then they would have taken more notice. They wouldn't have accused my daughter of playing with the stuff, but she certainly wasn't. Like, just trying to get milk in the morning for a coffee. Like, you go to, I don't mean to name names, but I won't. But you go to like some of these cheap shops, and you can't even get $1 litre of milk for under like $4. Like, how are you meant to have a coffee in the morning or send your kids to school in the morning with milk in their cereal if like you've only got $2 and like the only place to get that, I will say the name is Coles, because they're the only ones that have a cheap litre of milk for $1.60, $1.55 now. Actually, it's gone down. I felt that the way I was growing up as a child was the way that I would grow up, that was normal. And like, any time I've ever been offered an opportunity to get above the poverty line has been really scary. Like, I haven't really taken it. I'm more comfortable in what I know. Even though it might be a struggle, the struggle is comfortable because at least you know where you belong and where you're at. If you start getting above yourself, you might fall back down, and that's happened before. I have got above myself and I have fallen back down. So, and that's exactly just that, me saying above myself. Who am I to think that that's above me when I should be aiming for the stars? Having money in the bank to go buy art materials, having money to go buy food, like, not having to worry about the gas getting cut off or my water bill, and like, I get to such a, because having never had a house before and now I have a house, I knew that my rent was a little bit behind, and I was actually in panic mode over it because it had been for a couple of months. I didn't realise it was only $2 behind each time I'd been paying it. I thought it was something like $20 behind, so I offered them $50 a week extra rent, and they're like, it's only $20, Damien. But like, I'll get a debt or something like that, and I'll put my head in the sand till it's so far that I actually think, oh gee, I better do something about this now. Like, that was a good example, but there's other times where I've left it so long that I've lost stuff. Well, from 16 basically through to about 30, I was basically homeless, but I worked the whole time, so I'd go to work every day, and then I'd more than likely sleep on the building site that I'd be working on and be the first one on site. But even like doing that, like, you think you'd have money, like, because you're not paying for rent, you know what I mean, maybe you got more money at the end of the week and you can afford somewhere to live, but when you've got nowhere to live, you've got no fridge, you've got no cooking materials, so everything you buy is either fast food or it's bought to be eaten right there and then. There's nothing that you can't buy bulk to store, you can't buy bulk to get many meals out of one. And then because of that situation that you're in, you tend to fall into depression, so then you start drinking, or you might take drugs or something else, or even just smoking, like cigarettes or whatever, like what have you. Everything adds up. So like, your food adds up, your smokes add up, your coffee in the morning adds up, your soft drink during the day all adds up, to the point where you might end up with $15, or maybe you owe $50 to the boss, which happened to me at least twice. So I was working and I owed him $50. There was once where I only got $15. But at the same time, I didn't complain, I didn't feel bad, because I'd already eaten and drank like a king while I'd worked all week, and I'd just sleep it off for the weekend, I guess. But it's not a way to live. It's not a way to get ahead. Well, most people didn't even know I'd have a job. Like, if I was at work, people wouldn't know I was homeless, so there wouldn't be any sort of like negativity really there, except for one job where, like, I did get teased about being homeless. I got teased about losing my teeth. I got teased about my breath, teased about my Aboriginality, teased about everything basically. But Like then when you've left work and you're going to like, it's just like even in workplace people would somehow just know that you're homeless, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't help that like you have a bag with all your stuff, so that sort of like starts to give stuff away, you know what I mean? And just people didn't give a damn really if you had a job or not. If you were homeless, like you could see the look in their eyes as like that you weren't worth being around or weren't worth helping or dealing with, sort of thing. Just made you feel below human. I was lucky, I was blessed with a lot of perspective as a child, so I realised that like my position might be bad, but there's people out in the world that have it a lot worse than me, so I was able to use that to lift myself up, I guess. But, some of the hardest moments is when I still had my kids and I was at home with my kids, and like you've worked, you paid your bills, the partner's been paid, she's paid bills, but there's still no money for food. Like you're still having to feed your kids noodles or baked beans like you were fed by your parents when they were broke and they were poor. And there's times when like you can't go to work because you're homeless and you need high-vis clothes to get to work, but you haven't got the money to go buy a high-vis shirt. And just, yeah, things just catch up with, like build up on you. I think poverty mainly dehumanises people, makes people feel less human. Like it doesn't just make you feel that way, it makes you that way, sort of like, because you have to become less civilised to survive, in a way. Like, I haven't done it myself, but I know people out there that are going out there filling up trolleys with food to survive at the moment, like, and they're not paying for them. That's not how humans normally behave. That's a situation. That's a symptom of the situation people are in.
So what did getting your first home at the age of 43 do for you?
It scared the hell out of me. I literally thought when I was told I was getting a house, I was scared shitless because I thought I was going to lose it. With all the help I'd had through agencies that had helped me and got me to the point where I was at, I still wasn't sure if I had the tools and the capabilities to keep the house. And that also provided me with more responsibilities and therefore more debts. Like now I've got to pay rent, I have to pay power, I have to pay gas, water, which I'm very happy for. Like, I'm glad to have these responsibilities, but they are responsibilities and they're costs. Like, they're all costs, everything costs. You get one step better and it costs you. Every step seems to cost you more. Now it's like I'm comfortable with having a house, I'm proud of having a house. Yeah, it's good now. Biggest impact for me, I guess, would be just having the means to be able to paint and to not have to worry about, like, am I going to be able to fill the fridge, or am I going to be able to even put anything in the fridge this week? Like, will I be able to get milk? But just a bit of just stability in resources, I guess.
Do you feel the JobSeeker allowance you receive now is enough?
No. It's enough to keep you housed and fed, but it's not enough for you to advance. It's not enough for you to feel like you're human. It's not even enough to help you feel like a person. Like, you can't afford to socialise, or even, like, I can't even barely afford to go out for a coffee. I know of a place where I can go and I can get one coffee and I can pay one forward, but it's about as much as I can do in the way of socialising is paying for a coffee for someone else that I don't even get to see. My only real dream I have for the future for myself would be, I'd hope to start a school one day for Aboriginal and disadvantaged kids, where they can come in and learn art, music, dance and communication and understanding, so we get rid of this domestic violence scourge that's killing our community. Because that dream will benefit so many others, and I believe that's what my legacy is going to be. Open your eyes, start researching the people that you support when you make your votes, and start making your votes count. vote for people that really have an interest in furthering humans and humanity, and people with empathy and understanding. Don't vote for cold, heartless politicians. Vote for people with empathy and understanding. Make your vote count. As much as we want everyone else out there to help us out of this, we've all got to make our own steps to get out of it too. You can't expect us to make those steps up without taking a few steps yourself. It's hard, but you just have to do it. You have to find a way to do it.
Do you feel that in the current system we have for people in poverty, they can get out of their situation?
No, unfortunately not, because unfortunately the governments and everything that we have at the moment are centred around keeping everyone in their places. There's nothing in there about people getting up above their places, or even, like, really, who's to say that these are our places? Like, shouldn't we all be living on an equitable, fair playing field, instead of this, like, people living up on Mount Everest and other people living in the Mariana Trench? Because that's how it feels. My name's Damien, and I believe WA is no place for poverty.